Hi everyone, it's Kayla again, and today I wanted to talk about why I put my dog down. It's kind of a lengthy story, and I just laid her to rest last Wednesday, so it's been almost 9 days. It will be 9 tonight at 6:48. As some of you know, I have a Chihuahua. Her name is Oreo. She was born in March 23rd, 2009. And she was like the greatest dog ever. She's black and white, long fur. I'm gonna just adjust this, sorry. Ticking me right off. Just an excellent dog. She was my buddy. I have tattooed paw prints of hers on my leg. We dipped them in dye and just let her walk on paper, and then we took that and put it on my leg. So anyways, I ended up moving back in with my parents, who happened to have Oreo's mother, Tacoma. Now, Tacoma was 14 when I moved back in. She was going to be 15 this June. She ended up getting really old, sick, just was not doing good. She was having seizures like every 2 minutes. So we ended up having to put her down as well. And ever since that happened in February. And ever since that happened, my dog started going downhill. It was like once I moved back in, Oreo was back with her mom, and life was good, and then she lost her. So I know this probably sounds foolish to some people, but I think she kind of broke down and her organs started failing and she died, I think, of a broken heart myself. So fast forward 2 weeks or so later in March, after Tacoma had died, Oreo had a seizure in my bed. And it was the most terrifying sound. Like, she was squealing as she was seizing up. And it's like she couldn't breathe because when she was trying to like relax, her tongue would come through her teeth and she'd make a sound. And so I brought her to the vet that morning because it happened at like 2 in the morning. So I brought her to the vet and they're like, oh, well, let's do some blood draw because we don't think it's a seizure. If she was a seizure, she would be defecating herself and she's probably just fine. So I did blood work. It came back as her having low electrolytes and her salt level was down. So they said to add just table salt to her diet and she would be fine. I started doing that. April came around, so almost a month later she had a couple more seizures. And I mean, within like 2 days she probably had 4 seizures. I brought her back into that same vet and was like, look, I took videos of her. I couldn't catch the seizure in the moment, but I took videos of her afterwards, and she'd walk wobbly and was almost like confused on how to maneuver herself. And so they listened to her heart, and they're like, well, she has a heart murmur. And if it's getting bad, then that's going to constrict the blood from getting to her brain, which means she will probably have seizures, blackout, and be uncoordinated for like an hour or so after. Like, oh yeah, sure, that makes sense, sure. Is there anything I can do to prevent that? More salt. They did more blood work and just said, yep, more salt, more electrolytes, so keep her hydrated, and she'll be fine. Just expect this out of your dog from now on. Okay, sure. Fast forward to May, so another month later, Oreo's not getting better. She's getting worse. She started having more seizures and everything. So I brought her back into the doctors, showed them more videos of Oreo. This time I'm capturing what she's doing. To me, they are seizures. She was shaking, she was screaming, sometimes she wouldn't be screaming. But I couldn't get her attention. I couldn't get her to do anything but just lay there and quiver. And Oreo, even though she's a Chihuahua, she's not much of a barker. And she's not a shaker. She was very comfortable with me. And she was always shaking at this point. And that just was never her. Something felt wrong. So they did more blood work and they came back to me and they're like, she's healthy, she's fine. we don't know why you're coming back. And I'm like, okay, so what do I do? And they just kept saying the same thing over and over, that she needed more friggin' table salt, and that electrolytes were probably a little off, and that her heart was making everything worse. So I brought her back home. Fast forward now to July, like the very beginning of July. I brought her into another vet, and at this point, Oreo was having seizures on a daily basis, multiple times a day. She started foaming at the mouth. She was losing weight. Oreo, at the beginning in March, weighed 12 pounds. When I brought her into this vet, she was down around 10. When he looked at her and I told him that she was lethargic, wasn't eating, wasn't drinking, losing weight, was having seizures, started going blind in her eyes, so she was scared of me every time I went to go touch her. It's like she couldn't recognize me, couldn't do anything to fix that. And he's like, well, these are all classic signs of Lyme disease. I could do testing right now, but I think the more important thing is to put her on antibiotic fast. And I'm like, okay, I agree. Let's just do that. Let's get it done. I guess his Lyme disease testing would take a while to get back. So we put her on deoxycycline, I think is what it was called. Again, it's an antibiotic. So we put her on that. And she really wasn't getting any better. If anything, she was getting worse. He had me syringe feed her water and yogurt. And every time I was doing this, she was still defecating herself, still urinating, still foaming at the mouth. And it looked like she was losing even more weight. So right about 2 weeks after, not even, I think it was 10 days after I had started her on that medicine, she was getting really, really bad. And I'm sorry if I tear up. Oreo was just, she was like my best friend. You know, I had her for 9.5 years. So we brought her to an emergency clinic at like 8 o'clock at night. And when I brought her in, they looked at me and they're like, oh my God, has she already passed? And I'm like, I don't think so. She's breathing. I need help. And our intentions were to put her down that night. But for me, I needed to know if there was anything else I could do to improve her way of living, maybe to bring her back. So they did an exam on her. I mean, her stomach contents were empty, of course, even though I had been syringe feeding her. It just wasn't, yogurt just wasn't enough, and every time I fed her, she got seizures again and again, and was just getting worse. She dropped down to 9 pounds. Her heart was extremely slow, you know, a beat every couple seconds. She was on her deathbed. So they ended up saying, we need to do a blood draw to know more. So I'm like, okay, that's perfect, let's do it. It came back that her liver enzymes were at 1,861. For her size, weight, and everything in her breed, it's normal for that to be under 125, no more. When she came back in, then the doctor looked at me and said, she is really, really sick. Yeah, there's just, you know, we don't know if she's going to make it. I'm like, okay, so what do we do? They put her on a different antibiotic. It was called amoxi, I think, or amoxicillin. It's like the dog version of amoxicillin. And then we had to put her on liver medication. They also gave her hydration, so they put fluid in her spine, or in her back, not her spine, to try to get her so she wasn't so dehydrated. And she's like, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but basically every time that I was feeding her that yogurt, or syringe feeding her, after like an hour, sorry, cars going by, after like an hour of me doing that, she would have a seizure, and that was basically because the liver was taking it in and then sending messages up to her brain, I guess. This is just all what the vet was saying. So when she was talking to me, she's like, I don't know if she'll make it. I don't know how long this has really been going on, if it's been starting since March, and if it has, then her liver may be too scarred to come back. Usually if they're missing pieces of your liver or some of it's not functioning, you'll be fine. But if this has been going on for, 4 months, it's probably not gonna be better. Let's hope that it's only been going on for the last few weeks and that she will. She instructed us to come home, give her baby cereal, like rice cereal, through a syringe mixed up with some water, and that would have less protein in it to make the liver act up and send those messages up to her brain to seize. Oreo, from what I saw, looked like she was actually getting better and like she was putting on a little bit more weight. She started walking around again, and acting more of herself. But she still didn't want to like climb stairs, didn't want to go anywhere, and was still messing herself and everywhere around her, like on her bed. So now fast forward to August. Sorry. I think it was August 24th. Yeah. No. August 22nd, sorry. She was not doing good at all, so we had an appointment that night at 6:30, 6:30, to go bring her to the second vet. So out of all the vets, she saw 3 of them. One she saw 3 or 4 times, which was just telling me the salt issue. The second one, which we were going to next, was the one that said that she probably had Lyme disease, and the third was the emergency clinic. When we got there, he's like, it's time. He said that there was no way that she would ever make a comeback, and even if she did, it would basically be the same as it was, and there was going to be 0 improvement. She hadn't started yellowing yet, so her liver wasn't completely dead, but it was dying. And she started having seizures in front of him. So I made a horrible decision, yet one of the best decisions, to put her out of her misery. I felt horrible for doing it. Sorry. But I couldn't keep being selfish and keeping her. She was my best friend, and I thought, because her mom had lived to 14, that I'd have another 5 years with her. But Oreo had lost the will to live, the will to enjoy life or to do anything. So he put a tranquilizer in her muscle to try to calm her down. And it wasn't like that she was excited, but he didn't want her to get scared when she got the initial IV. And he shaved her arm, put the needle in, and I held her face because she started having a seizure as he was doing it, and just repeatedly told her I loved her. And I told her it was going to be okay, and then within seconds, she was gone. But she looked at me as she was going, like she was trying to say thank you and that she loved me too. Maybe people think that's silly, I don't know, but it was comforting to me for her to do that and to cuddle up to me, looking me in the eyes. It was beautiful, and some people have said that's probably the most traumatizing thing that you'll ever have to go through. It's not. It's scary to see your dog in pain, but it's relief when you know that they're going to a better place where they're not going to have these issues anymore. And I hope that she knows that I loved her and I did it for reasons that I thought would be best. So unfortunately, Oreo had liver disease and had to pass away. So I guess why I share this is because even though you have a gut feeling, sometimes we turn the cheek and we don't listen to ourselves, and I wish I had listened to myself and brought her to different vets than the first 3 times and I had the same one. Maybe try to get them to dig deeper and really tell them that she's not my dog. She's not acting like it. I wish I could have prevented her suffering. but I can't live that way. And I can't allow myself to tear me down, and you know? So I guess if you have a gut feeling, listen to it. You know, try to listen to yourself, because you never know. You might keep your dog a little bit longer. So anyways, I just wanted to explain kind of what happened to Oreo and why you guys won't ever see her again. And yeah. So thank you guys all for watching. I hope you have a blessed day. So thank you, and I love you, Oreo. Bye.